Oh, look at all these party people. We got Shark, Cozy, Purple, Heart, Gossamer, Mythic Moose, and Lila. Welcome. Hello, 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 hello. I hope that was not an assault to your ears. They lagged enough so that they all happened at once. What about a nice sound effect? Jaden, hello. Bradley boy, welcome, welcome. Oh, I am excited to have you all here. Today is a special stream. We're gonna finish the fight Halo Reach. Just kidding, it's a mystery game. We're gonna get to see a witch. There's like a cold-hearted, what do you call it? Oh, I forgot the word. It's too early. What's the word for where you work with dead bodies? What's that? The autopsy person. The autopsy specialist. And she's got it. She's got a history. A mortician. Thank you. I was like, this is a regular word I shouldn't forget, but sometimes, you know, your brain just farts and it just goes like, and then it's like, sometimes it's like, and sometimes it's like, and sometimes it's like, objection! But, you know, Chad, sometimes it's like, coroner? Oh. Maybe the mortician is just the one who does the embalmings. The embalmings. But sometimes it's like, sometimes it's like, chives. It's so silly. The lions, the witches, and mayhaps we'll see wardrobes. Maybe. But sometimes it's like, objection! Is that all my set? Sometimes it's like, oh, hey, sometimes it's time to start the stream. Hi, I'm very close. Do you like that? Hello, I'm regular again. Hello, happy Thursday, babies. I hope you're all having a beautiful time. My brain farted earlier and it was like, but now I'm wide awake. There we go. It is Thursday, my dude. Ah! Thank you all for being here. I hope you're ready for some high-level shenanigans in a court of law. Is it the court of law? Well, it's certainly a court of law, I'll tell you that. Hey, Baldur's Gate's on sale. Baldur's Gate 2. Oh. Still a good game. Alright, babies. I don't want to waste any gosh dang-a-lang time. We are turning on the Grey's Attorney. We are turning off Video Game Study Lounge from Game Chops. I love it very dearly. I am here for shenanigans. Good. So that's what you're gonna get, baby. Can I click on the game, please? There we go. Here we go. Alright. So we're in the middle of the final trial. This is going to be the final section. I think we'll get a recap, but basically we are accusing the coroner of being involved in shenanigans with both this current murder and a murder from 10 years ago. Additionally, we are claiming that a waxwork model was involved. So we're gonna see how that all goes. Wow. We're taking a break so we can, like, get the corner here. Mythic Moose with 3 gifted subs. Oh my goodness. Mythic Moose, hello. Thank you so many. I appreciate the heck out of that. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Are you also here for shenanigans? You wanted to be number 2. I got you. All right, here we go. Ah, the knight errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Smoking this pipe, of course. He never smokes it. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs, as a spectator at least. Whenever there is silliness, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. Hello, nerd man. I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? He doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Who even is he? Oh, of course. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew the monster would come a-knocking at your door? My heartfelt sympathies. Ah, ha, ha, ha. What is his hair? It is a choice. It's like an old-timey science afro. As it turns out, Lord Van Zieks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now the waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. You make it sound deliberate. Crimson, welcome, welcome. How are you? I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes, in what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Scythe, and Lord Van Zieks. It seems that everybody in the trial has a link to the case somehow. Yes. In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other. Like his finger got stuck in an electrical socket. Excuse me, who? Oh, it's her. Very serious snake woman. Dr. Scythe. She's got real step on me energy, you know what I mean? Like, ah, Dr. Courtney Scythe, Nee Stevens. Nee Steven? Oh, nay Stevens? Good day to see you. She does. Alex, I'm doing great. How are you? Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? He's not looking at her. Because Gregson told me. Well, born Courtney Stevens. Oh, okay. You knew that immediately. And I'm doing well, Alex. Hold on. I always do this. I need to, like, clear my throat. Okay, goodbye, Alex. To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Scythe. And I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened. That certainly won't be possible. I'm gonna lie through my teeth. Lord Van Zieks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. I knew because another streamer asked and got answered. Oh, interesting. Okay. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice! I've always fought crime in the way I see fit. I have no regrets, none at all. And that's all I came here to say. Goodbye. But see you later. See you never. Bye. You mentioned it too. This Pandora's box. No. Nose knits. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Mew crew. How are you? I'm gonna call you Nos. How's that, Nos? Like a car that go vroom vroom. Roar! That's what cars sound like, right? They go roar! Whatever does it all mean? There's really no cause for concern, I assure you. When the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'll like it or not. Huh? Really came to brag about how you won't be able to drag her in there. I bet she's wrong, also. Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much. Ah, yes, one word of warning before I go. If in the course of this trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Alright, I understand, thank you. I don't know any other series that is as good at, like, making somebody seem aloof and yet completely also in charge of the entire situation. Like, I think in the Apollo Justice games, older Phoenix Wright kind of played this role where he wasn't as, like, goofy as Sholmes, certainly, but, like, he kind of had this air about him of, like, I don't know, but then when push came to shove, he was like, I know literally everything, do not mess with me. And it's so perfect, it's really hard to get this tone across, and I love it, dear. Fantastically written. I hate that choice of words. To make myself scarce. Sholmes caramel! I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I should be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth. Just a bar of caramel, wow. I can't imagine wanting to do that. What did that warning from Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. Well, I don't know, I certainly hate it. I guess I'll just leave. I'll just give up. Me, Ryunosuke. Famous giver-upper. It's time for my final chapter then. I'm determined to find the truth. A deadly class trial. He has the power of anime and great hair on my side. Whoop. And it's either going to be rot in the next 10 years or the next 10 minutes, maybe. In the name of the Majesty of the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue? The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready. It's me, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Fledgling lawyer. I've been doing this for, like, a year, but I'm still a baby boy. Star, hello! How are you? As the court is aware, the case under our scrutiny began with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. That we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation. As seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord. It's not my fault. So then, let us begin our exploration of the defense's assertion that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this matter. Ryunosuke is always a baby boy to me. Why is this old guy he's the judge! Lord Van Zeeks, my lord, are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tuspa? Oh yeah, we're supposed to, that's what we're doing. Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned. I'm still half asleep, get it. Very well, bring in the witness. At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tuspels to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Drebber is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice in Dr. Scythe. And what connects the pair of them is the waxwork. Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link. I'm getting real intense. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present, it's all we have to go on. Oh, stop! Come on! She's making shows! State your name and occupation for the court, please. Oh, what was her voice? She was kind of Romany French. My name is Madame Esmeralda Tosca. How dare. I know you weren't here, but I was farting the entire time on the preload screen. And now you come and fart in my actual stream. How dare you? How could you? How dare It was Star Spice. It wasn't me. My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspels. I am a waxwork artisan.
am the proprietress of the Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon.
Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are 2 of them in the world. Oh my, what expression is she carving into that face?
A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Grand never stops. Can you confirm this?
Oui, that is true.
At first, we believed it had been kidnapped.
A waxwork model kidnapped? I love that his little toupee is constantly ajar.
Yes, my lords, there was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtrooms, that was not the true reason.
Take a little toot for every step. 500 steps.
I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of the murder victim.
At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. I forgot my tea I have sitting here. I'ma drink it! You can't stop me. Why are you trying to stop me from drinking? Hey, chat, what's, come on. Self-care, baby. At present, oh, I read that. That guy's, what a Yankee Doodle, you know what I mean? Even though he's British. What kind of tea? It's iced jasmine green tea. I cold brew it every night and I drink it throughout the day, every day. Yesterday, I was so tired that I also went, there's a coffee shop like right around the corner from me. I don't usually drink coffee, but for whatever reason, because like black coffee, heh, disgusting, not for me. If you like it, that's fine, but it's not for me. But this place has a lavender cold brew that I just drink straight black. And it's really yummy, and it's not really very acidic. And it's crazy, because I don't like coffee. I don't like the taste of coffee. It's crazy to me. But, like, this lavender syrup, I guess, really just, like, makes it drinkable for me. I love it. But I had that in the middle of the day yesterday, because I was, like, falling asleep during, like, post-stream. Trying to work on video editing. I do video editing for freelance, everybody.
This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Odie Asman. But of course, I know him well. He is a part of my odious personages exhibit. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Asman does not resemble the professor at all.
Excuse me. Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar.
Are you suggesting that we should see how's the demasked visage of the professor?
A key!
I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock.
This is absurd.
Pardon? I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure behind that mask. I got him the French too, but clearly it won't be of the actual killer.
Indeed. Ah! Start. That's the most jump scare. I like tea leaves, but other than... There are other leaves I like more. Hey, yo. So I don't drink tea a lot. I'm here to goof, smooth, and be aloof. She opening the Chamber of Secrets. This man's identity was never made public, after all.
The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential.
Fart and shut down. Fart and turn the computer off.
The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that the repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information.
Well, Dommage, it would seem you are unaware of the Tuspel's principles.
What principles? Principal Tuspels?
The family Tuspels has always prided itself on sculpting its models à la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. Et voila, our principles.
Chamber of Secrets.
There is a well-known legend that the Tuspel's waxworks from the time... About the Tuspel's waxworks from the time of the French Revolution.
Green crash for you. What about everyone else? Am I alive? I look live to me. She's about to get even cooler. I do love her.
A member of the Tuspel's family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed.
Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now.
It's fine for me. Okay. I'm sorry, Lila.
if you can hear me. Refresh. It was a century ago now.
Look at how serious. He's like, oh!
I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually at the guillotine site.
Micro Dose, hello, welcome, how are you?
You are correct. The model is on display still today in the House of Horrors. We Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subject.
Oh, I got you, Lila. EU accent, I do my best, but I'm not actually very good.
Dear me, a somewhat disturbing tenacity of purpose.
It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation of the subject.
My old boss had a pretty French accent, and I feel like I used to be okay at replicating it, but I've been not working there for so long that it's sort of, I've fallen apart from it.
And it has been my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
Oui, the true visage of the killer is there.
This is ludicrous. It is out of the question.
The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer emerging from his own grave, it is a sight to behold. You should come.
I'm very busy. I think, madam, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on the matter. You will explain every detail of this macabre model and your personal involvement in its creation.
With pleasure.
Yeah, I love her. We never see her right eye. Maybe she's got a what do they have in Naruto? The a Shinigami? No, I'm joking. That's from Death Note. I know that. That was a joke.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London.
Tooks, hello, welcome. He was definitely hit here. Promo her wax, yeah. Come to the. There was a bit. There was a bit on The Office where like it was very confusing, but like there was Bob Vance Refrigeration. He kept saying that because he knew that it was a documentary, and he was like, "Hey, everybody, come be it. come to my store." What is your question?
An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment.
I like wax culture as much as the next guy. The type of wax I like better. I'm 420 years old, Tooks.
I hit myself until he gave me the signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
Oh my god.
Gravedigger, the man sanctioned this?
Oui. I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew, only the gravedigger. What harm did it do?
So you truly saw it? The face of that monster?
I'm mixing their two things now. Their cadences are similar, but you know what I mean? It is an Undertale heart. It's a facsimile, I guess.
Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret. But Tuspels would not be Tuspels if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures.
I don't believe this.
I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, madam.
Man, I'm all tongue-tied. Right, here we go. Everybody with me. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. She is 26 years old. She took a mold of a real freshly dead man at 16. Oh my god, I forgot about that. They just give people an age and then forget about it. A real go-getter.
A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave.
The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time.
Whoa! There he is.
The special exhibit was based on the picture in the article. It was the most detailed account of what happened, as reported by the eyewitnesses who saw it.
Wait, who drew that? Asmon! Odie Asmon drew it! Wait a minute! Just kept that on her? I mean, she probably brought it. My thoughts on water? I love it. Except for tea, I only drink water. Does that say memes, Purple Heart? Queen? Wait. I just call you Queen, right? In the local graveyard, chilling with spirits. Hey, what's up, I'll drink to that. What are these nuts? Ah! You got me. You got me, actually.
Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words. The public enjoys absurdity, monsieur. Monsieur? Monsieur? That is why I've reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum.
And it's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it? Posture check.
A bag of memes, give it to me. That is correct. The professor you see before you here.
Most puzzling.
Most puzzling indeed.
Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination.
This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Scythe. And there has to be some reason for that, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. I'll prove that Dr. Scythe and Drebber were in all this in the crime together! What if it's actually, Asmund? What if Dr. Odie... Mythic Mouse! You're gonna give me heart palpitations. Oh, my heart is palpitating. It's murmuring. I think that perhaps... oh, I can't look at people right now. But I think maybe Odie... Oh, wait, no, I do want to look at... this. Yeah, because it looks like it was illustrated by Asmund. And then it talks about Mr. Drebber, so they were in on it even 10 years ago. Maybe he wasn't really dead. But she says he was dead. She says there was a body there. Alright. Okay. Okay, alright, okay. Here's my thought. Here's my hypotenuse. And no spoil. I know that some of you might know the answer, so no even hints or nothing. This is what I think happened, all right? We're gonna see how wrong I probably am. I think that the coroner, Dr. Scythe, I think that the professor was either actually Drebber or Asmund, right? And that there was no dead body. They did a trial, and they didn't really do a hanging or whatever, and that they just buried them in secret because why wouldn't, you know, like, if Scythe was in on it, right? But then, to further solidify the mythos of it, Asmund pretended to be dead. Like, lied in the... I don't know how you pretend... You gotta hold your breath a real long time, I guess. But, like, I don't know. They didn't know how dead people worked back then. So, I don't know. Maybe this is crazy. But, like... but I think that under there, it's gonna look like Asmund. Because she made a waxwork model of Asmund who pretended to be dead 10 years ago. Right? I don't know. This theory has a lot of holes, but that's my thought process. Here's my hyper moose. All right. Hold it! Hold it! Let's find out. Let's take a few hours to find out.
And that rumor would be a 10-year-old tale by now, but one that no Londoner would ever forget.
All right. I know just what you're talking about, I think.
Of course, it couldn't be anything else.
Yes, that story will never disappear.
The tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead. That is the central attraction of my house of horrors.
Deja Moose. I used to watch Ace Attorney anime. I hear it stays good. It just tells the story of the games very succinctly. I heard that my head spun so fast.
The rumor was whispered all over the city, and it was like this.
People usually call me Moose. Oh, that's fun.
It was in Lowgate Cemetery behind the prison in the night after the execution of the killer. The interred professor slid back the stone slab covering his tomb and emerged from his grave.
If he wasn't really dead, that makes a lot of sense.
A young man who witnessed this felt a scream welling up inside him. But an instant later, he heard an ear-splitting gunshot from over his shoulder. The bullet struck the emerging corpse, and he fell motionless once more. The scene finally found its way from the mouth of the young witness, who turned and ran for his life.
Interessante. Ray, hello, welcome. How good to see you. The corpse climbed out of his own grave? And then somebody shot him? Who was it? It's me, Susato. I get excited.
Nobody knows, even today. But remember, it was just a rumor, perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The good people of London, they love ghost stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital.
How have you been? I've been excellent. I'm sleepy today, but what else? I'm sleepy every day, so what else is new? I hope you've been well also, baby. But it was just a story. I mean, this is exactly the scene that can be seen today at your museum, isn't it?
Always, the special exhibit was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the contents of that article will reproduced in every newspaper imaginable.
Madam, might I say something?
Please, go ahead, mademoiselle.
When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's entirely made up. I think some jokes as well. How? COVID! No! A third! Oh, I'm so sorry. I believe that often, rumors contain elements of the truth.
Ah, I see that people from the East can be just as astute as the people of Europe.
Can we be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful? Oh!
It is not possible for the dead to come back to life.
Sorry?
10 years ago, I was there in Lowgate Cemetery. After the criminal known as the Professor was killed by hanging, I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before it was interred.
You said that, so I can assure you,
the man was dead.
I see. Somebody was dead.
Certainly appear that the condemned man suffered the intended fate.
Have amazing Riz, yes. Who's that guy with the freaking Astro Boy? Which one?
Oomst.
The guy next to Van Zeeks? That's probably our boyfriend. I mean, best friend.
An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse.
Hold it! Are you a test? Because I want to cheat on you. Is that Riz? That's like the opposite of Riz. Is that true of every waxwork in your museum, then?
It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know.
What sort of letters? Who's dead?
When my time comes, please make a waxwork of me. Como sa?
No. Sobbing.
My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals, it's the symbol of status even.
Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax.
And it is thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the star of the special exhibit, of course, the Professor.
Whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from an actual corpse.
Who's Astro Boy? Which character? I don't know which character.
There are no exceptions to the principles of Tuspers. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger.
Who was the gravedigger? Was Drebber the gravedigger? Surely that's illegal, isn't it?
It would seem the proprietress of this repository of novelties was blinded by momentary greed.
It had nothing to do with money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him to record this history. It is the raison d'etre
of the Tuspers Museum. I don't actually know how to pronounce French words. It's the raison d'etre of the Tuspers Museum. If a Danish person dies, are they called in expired Danish the food? But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary present know. The judiciary present know of the killer's true identity. Who is in there?
I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the Professor.
Do you realize what you're saying? The Professor's identity is a national secret.
I understand. And now that the truth is about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close.
Of course it will, and as will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madam.
That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think, don't you?
Raisin Dietrich! So, 10 years ago on the night of the Professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse, right? Raison d'etre? Okay. I said it as, like, as bad as possible. I have one more, but it's a bit rough. Coming from someone in New York, is it about, like, a bagel? Or, like, a bagel, you know? Do you speak French, Gossamer, or no?
Oui, exactamente.
Exactamente.
I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time.
You were there longer than you expected to be?
I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask of the cadaver fell open, and I had some problems with the chin.
Dare I ask?
The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing, and consequently, his chin would not align itself correctly.
Relaxing?
Oh dear, what a horrible thought.
I didn't think that's what corpses did. I thought they did the exact opposite of that.
Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone, and as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time.
Oh no, Hatteray, no! What do you mean? Ah!
When I take the impression of the visage of a cadaver.
I don't have bagel jokes. They always have a plot hole.
I always wait 3 hours until after death.
Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant?
It is because of rigor mortis.
A wriggly mortis. I took some classes though. Oh, okay. That was so funny. I love not knowing a language. Yeah. It's exactamente. Yeah, me and Ryunosuke together in brain at last.
It's a name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to their relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered!
Well, that was an education, if a slightly scary one. Wriggly mortis. How do you hold a bagel back? You put locks on it! Man, I love bagel and locks. Yeah, she's sculpting Sholmes' visage.
As the mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours before death, and it starts in the jaw.
I see. So that's why you wait.
Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it is very difficult to do my work.
Ah, okay. It's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. I wonder if about that information. It's gotta be significant. The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us, would you mind including it in your formal testimony?
Of course, I do not mind at all.
I can't help but feeling that after this latest topic, the atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave!
The music stopped and everything. This is no time for jokes, Mrs. How did this character get a promotion? He was outstanding in his field! The only kind of bagel that can fly is a plain bagel. Come on. Come on.
Madam, kindly amend your testimony as discussed.
Bien, sir.
A very long time because it was before the onset. What?
What do you mean it was before? What? Before?
Hold it!
You said you had to wait a long time. Rigor mortis being the phenomenon you described whereby the corpse becomes stiff after death? I think you said that it starts at the jaw about 3 hours post-death. Is that right?
Oui,
Say ça. Of course, the
exact duration depends a little on the season.
I didn't realize a waxwork artisan would be so well versed in the subject.
No, that is only elementary knowledge in the field of legal medicine.
I had no idea about it, but maybe I won't admit to my ignorance about forensic science.
I can ask my father to give you a very simple primer if you like.
I think corpses should be your domain. I'm not good with them.
Oh dear, I'll do my very best.
I'm too good at puns. What does a bagel do when it's locked out of its house? Call a locksmith! Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure it was the, what? Which one? Oh,
It's done. Okay, so hold on.
Well, I'm like confused about. I guess I'll press everything.
Hold it!
Just to see. You say the dawn was approaching. What was the time of day then, approximately?
Well, I could not say. But when I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible.
The execution took place on 17th June, which had the earliest sunrise of that year. What a coinkydink.
Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning.
Wow, really? Is that how it works in England? That really is early. The sun don't rise that early in America. I don't know, not anywhere. Yochu, hello, hello. This is Big Claus grandfather, Poppy.
Ah! The fact is, I had very little time, so I finished my work in half an hour. It was necessary to complete the impression and bury the body before daybreak, of course. If somebody had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry.
How's it going? Excellent. It is morning. It's not even 10 yet for me. Is it me or does Mr. Sholmes seem to be taking shape more quickly now? Is he?
You certainly appear to go to extraordinary lengths for your work, madam.
I'm doing well. We're having a grand old Opry. I wonder, is what she said particularly significant? It's significant. Madam, those details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture and the early sunrise, would you include them in your testimony? I believe they may see... Blah, blah, blah.
Of course, if you would like me to.
You're quite right, Mr. Naruhodo. This is intriguing. At sunrise at 4 in the morning would be absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it?
That's not quite what I meant by significant. Completed this game? No. We completed the section of the case, and now we're gonna finish this case, and then after that, there are 2 more whole cases, so, I imagine I'll be playing this game for another, probably, maybe 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. At the pace I go.
Kindly amend your testimony, for God's sake.
With pleasure, my lord.
How are you doing?
I hurried to finish my work in the half hour before the sunrise. Then I left as soon as the corpse was interred.
Hold it. Never played this attorney. They're super fun. They go on sale constantly. If you like games like this, the original trilogy go on sale for like 15 bucks. This game goes on sale for like 20. 13 Risen? Why? Come on. You're asking what game you should do next. That makes sense. So we didn't beat it, but just like whenever I do beat this one, because I've been playing this for months at this point. You have reason to believe you might be discovered once the sun came up or something?
I had sped the gravedigger to keep my little secret, of course. But with the morning light, I knew that the warden from the prison would commence his patrol of the area.
Couldn't you stole it? Come on. Couldn't you have just paid off the warden too then?
I had already paid the gravedigger, as I said. You cannot buy the silence of everyone, or the secret of is no longer a secret, huh?
The sunrise was at 4:40 a.m. that day, which means that it would have been around 4 when you began sculpting your work.
Oui, that must be correct. That would be when the gravedigger gave me the signal to come out of hiding.
I've been playing it a while. I don't know when I started it. It was this year, but that's all I have to go on.
What's your feeling, Mr. Naruhodo?
For some reason, Dr. Scythe went along with Trevor's plan. Now, if that's really true, excuse me, then the professor is the only other thing we know that links the pair of them. The video storm with a raid! Hello and welcome, Raiders. How was my favorite video game, Just Chatting? Did you beat, the boss monster of Just Chat? Did you beat the boss? No, how was your stream? Hello, welcome. It's good to see you. Then the professor is we're doing Ace Attorney. We're solving the crimes, all of them. Professor is the only other thing we know of that links the pair of them. So I feel sure that Waxwork must be a clue to this mystery somehow. Wavy Smurth with the follow. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Mute Crew. Raiders, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves, welcome to court. I would love to know a few things about you, your favorite food, your favorite cute thing, and your pronouns. And if you would like to know my pronouns, well, I will tell you in 3, 2, 1. My pronouns are Davidia Storm. Wow. What are the odds? Morris's curse. Whoa. Whoa!
In that case, we must use his cross-examination to uncover exactly what it means. Otherwise, the jurors are sure to revert their leanings and the trial will be over.
I agree, but interestingly, uncovering what the professor has to do with all of this means more to Lord Van Zieks than anyone. That's the impression I'm getting, anyway.
Yes, as do I.
After all, he has a profound connection to the professor as well. Ow! Yeah. Dare you. Okay. So, what do I, like, have? Ow! Ow! How could you do this to me? Shutting down VR. Oh, you were doing VR chat. Hello, hello! Welcome, welcome. It was drawn by... Okay, so what do we do? There's a Mad Sheep outrange. The Great Stink. Executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery. 139. It was by Dr. Asmund. There he is. I don't really, I don't know. I don't see how... I don't really know what I have to go. Let me, Whoa! What's happening? This is hard. Whoa, Nicole with a raid! Hello, welcome! How was Resident... Oh, Resident Evil Village. That one was the one with the tall lady, right? I got about halfway. I streamed about half of that. And then I was kind of like, this is fun, but I don't like it as much as the other one. The one that came before it. Which was... No, wait, maybe I'm confused. No, yeah, no, Village was... What was that one before that with the family? Was that like Biohazard or something? You know what I'm talking about? I don't remember the name of it. Tall lady of my poor heart. I like the tall lady. Who doesn't like the tall lady? But I did murder her and like her daughters or whatever they were. When I played it. All right, hold on. Un momento. I have the French accent. It's very convincing. And it's not bad at all. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So I don't feel like the timing makes sense. So. Okay. So we have... The death was confirmed at midnight, but that would mean that rigor mortis would have set in. But she's like, it was before rigor mortis, so let's... Objection! Let's do it! Madam Tuspels, I have here an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. It confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows. And is that a problem? I believe it is, because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradict one another. Why? Are you going to explain yourself, my Nipponese friend? According to her testimony, Madame Tuspels was creating her wax impression just before dawn, and at that time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Am I correct so far, madam? You are, yes.
Time to tussle.
As I said, the stiffening of the jaw is the first sign of rigor mortis, 2 to 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he cannot have been dead for a long time.
But on the other hand, if you looked at Dr. Scythe's report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th June.
No.
If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would already have set in.
Oui, yes, you are right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff.
In other words, this report is wrong!
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. The very idea is absurd.
In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't actually take place at the stated time. Ah!
Impossible!
Oh, she's got a big long braid too? Stop. Come on.
Order, order! Council, this is beyond folly. Not only do you indict the author of the report, Dr. Scythe, but you also implicate members of staff at Barclay Prison where the execution took place.
Why, heck, extraordinary! Not my day.
My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact.
What fact?
The professor died that night without question.
He did, of course he did. I moved the man's limp jaw with my own hands. There was no...
Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows?
Didn't die it? Are you insane? What exactly are you suggesting did happen in that case?
It's almost impossible to believe, but it would explain the link between Dr. Scythe, the professor, and that one other person of interest who... I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night.
Council, present the evidence at once. The evidence that allegedly explains what really happened at the night of the professor's execution.
Is it the article?
Take that!
We're getting to the real meaty part. Hell yeah. That feels correct. What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery.
You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now?
Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection!
Don't be a fool. That's simply a rumor published by the gutter press.
Can you be certain of that?
Are you serious?
The point is, exactly as the article says, there was a witness to what happened.
My word, yes indeed.
Mice Ooey, the young man who stole it to the cemetery by chance.
Objection!
You're a vampire, hush.
Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself, but obviously that man made it up. And in any case, this was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding him.
What are you even saying? Not the French pronunciation. Well, that's my joke now. On the contrary, my lord, we all know this witness well.
What?
Did you look at the paper at all?
Are you suggesting, Council, that you've identified the person in question? That you know who claims to have seen these utterly incredible events take place?
Yes, my lord. In fact, you could say that he's right here before my very eyes. Because he literally is that. Yeah, come on. It's what do you mean? Why are you making me do? It's you can all look at this picture.
Take that!
Stop. The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebler, obviously. Duh, idiots.
Drebler? The previous witness?
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Tussbell's Museum of Waxwork recreates that decade-old scene in great detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebler. Eye patch, monocle, whatever thing and all. Boop, boop, boop. Raisin Dietrich.
Order! Surely not, Council. Drebler was there in Lowgate Cemetery?
What is all this talk about Mr. Drebler? Is the name significant?
Of course, Madame Tussbells doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, madam. To your situation as well, in fact.
What situation?
The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man.
No! But that would mean...
Madame Tussbells, it would appear you know the name Enoch Drebler.
Oui, yes, I know it. But from long ago in the past.
What?
Oh my!
Gracious! Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know.
He was the gravedigger.
Yes, of course. The story of the young man and the terrible sight he witnessed in the cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London and throughout the Great Britain. However, in all of the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man. No details were published about his identity. His name was never revealed. That is, apart from one other newspaper. The Daily Circus. It is the paper from which comes the article I've already showed in court.
You're saying that his full name was only publicized in that article?
Goodness me, yes, here it is. The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Dreber, a disciple of science at the University of London and a resident of its student dorms.
Unbelievable. No, he's not the gravedigger, okay. He has a camera.
When I read the article, I went to meet with the man. His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the cemetery in the dead of night would make a perfect exhibit for my House of Horrors, whether or not it was the truth or not.
Doing that to other words, pronounce Koroks as Koroks. It's like Southern Koroks. Yahaha! Pardon?
I see, so you went to meet Mr. Dreber in order to sculpt the waxwork of the man, did you?
Exactamente. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was just a poor student. I paid him £5 to model for the waxwork. And since that time, it has been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from the cemetery.
Did it in front of an artist vendor? No! Koroks. Thank you for the story, witchy lady. Give me your hat, please. I want it very badly. So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he'd witnessed. A criminal who'd been put to death, re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote that was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a waxwork model of the executed criminal, ostensibly to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today. Even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim, its face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to the 3 days ago, when the birdcage crashed into the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage had in fact contained not the body of Mr. Asman, but of that same waxwork, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated, Dr. Scythe, would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court had seen earlier. Why?
Because the waxwork was that of the professor. Is that what you're saying?
Dr. Scythe put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive. The criminal's apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Dreber. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Dreber used that particular waxwork as the body double. I love it when Zeeks does that, because he just looks so extra dramatic. Midwestern Koroks be like, yee-ha-ha. Pardon? Quai, hello, very good to see you. Pronouncing quesadilla? Quesadillo. Quesadilla. I had a friend who she was Mexican, and I guess like they were throwing some party, and like I don't know what the details were, but some white people showed up, right? And I am a white person, so you know, whatever, right? But like they walked up and were like, "Oh, those are what they call the Mexican tortillos," they said. And I heard this story a decade ago, and I've never forgotten it, because holy shit, what do you mean tortillo? What are you talking about, a tortillo? I love his damage animation, he's very good. My lord, this court must summon Dr. Scythe to the stand. The defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Dreber are connected.
According to the missive I received this morning through the prosecutor's office, Dr. Scythe is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case?
She told us so herself, didn't she?
Is that, like, allowed? Like, what do you mean?
I won't be summoned as a witness. Lord Stronghart has forbidden it.
Lord Stronghart? That to the one chef from a cooking show who pronounced bok choy as bok chewy? Stop!
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor's case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me.
Excuse me. Something happening on the night of that killer's execution 10 years ago. Surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of it more than Lord Van Zeeks.
prosecution calls for the instructions in that missive to be scrapped.
Yeah! Yeah!
But Lord Van Zeek's missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice's office. I don't care. The assigned prosecutor has the final say on policy in any particular trial. In other words, me.
Yes.
Let Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe both take the stand together.
Let's go, Van Zeeks! Oh, but that means Witchy Lady has to go. I'll miss her dearly.
Order! Very well, I will uphold your request. Bailiff, send a subpoena with immediate effect to direct to Dr. Scythe of the forensic investigation team. The woman is compelled to attend on Her Majesty's orders.
What if we had to interrogate the Queen? All right, then. Enoch Drebler and... I don't know why it's Drebler. Is that a Pokemon? Dwebler? Dr. Scythe. They weren't colluding with one another. This crime could have never been committed. I'm just a stone's throw away. I can feel it! The truth behind all of this is about to come out. Just like my love confession to Kazuma. I mean, we're just friends. Stop. Oh, she didn't have to leave. Yes! What was the crime? It's always murder. You may be racist, but in all other respects, you're such a great guy.
Thank you for your attendance on such short notice, Dr. Scythe.
I am disappointed in you, Lord Van Zeeks. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office.
Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Betrayal is not in my nature as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgruntles, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt.
Mr. Drebber. Not paying traffic, dude. The trials were like shoplifting. I think murder cases are the most interesting case because, like, the person who has the most information, the deceased, can't do anything about it, right? Except in some of the other Phoenix Wright games, because that one has ghosts. So in theory, ghosts are canon in this game, but we haven't dealt with them. Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of a machine that you constructed in your workshop. And Dr. Scythe, as the investigating coroner, you were first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime.
And where's your evidence?
At present, we have no definitive evidence, but we do have a very significant clue.
What are you talking about?
Do the ghosts join the jury? They join your side on the bench. I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. This model of the killer shown as the professor who was sentenced to death 10 years ago.
You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes, and I officially pronounced him dead.
That remains to be seen.
Is that so?
I do love her quite a bit, I'm going to be honest with you. According to the newspaper reports from the time, on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life.
Don't waste my time.
And the sole witness to that mysterious event was you, Mr. Drebber, wasn't it? He doesn't answer. If what you saw in the graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction but reality, it would make you privy to a very great secret of Dr. Scythe's. A secret so profound it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court. Tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery. Yeah, she's probably working, Crimson. I wouldn't bother her.
He was a student who saw it. You can see the resemblance. Oh, gosh.
Surely he's not going to claim
That's really what I saw, especially not after all these
years. They're chattering about him. Too clever for his own good, if you ask me. I keep changing his voice. I can't land on a voice, but he's got a deep voice.
What an interesting twist. When at the time, not one person would take me seriously. Yet now here we are, 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters, and in a court of law, too.
If he goes to work, he clogs into Twitch.
Very well, then, if everyone so wishes. Let's be frank. I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night, for what it's worth.
Wow.
No, Cozy just has a 9 to 5 is what it is.
So, Mr. Drebber, your testimony, please, about the events of that night 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery. Yes, of course, as you wish. It's me, Enoch Drebber. This is what I sound like. I've always sounded like this, even in flashbacks. The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we say. Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realized that I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. And I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist. It was all because of that newspaper article.
Wait a minute. You're claiming you didn't actually see the professor now?
Of course, you'd have to have a screw loose if you believed a corpse could come back from the dead.
But, so you're saying this article is...
Not worth the paper it's printed on? I would think. I think I would describe it perfectly, yes.
This character gives me Pokemon Gym Leader vibes. I'm into that.
If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe would have been working together.
So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument.
Tell me, witness. You claim to have been in the cemetery on some auxiliary business. Can you elaborate? That's right, grave robbing, to be precise.
Thank you for the lurk, Lila.
As you know, Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear, the butt, as we call it, of Barclay Prison. So among students at the university, it had a reputation for being haunted by ghosts of the condemned convicts. Grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuables buried with the dead. So you were one of the so-called resurrectionists, a particularly unpleasant scourge on society. Actually, my fellows and I went by another name, the repurposers. That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir. Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. Caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave my university.
None of this is true.
That was the only paper with the bad grace to identify me unambiguously, I might add.
I see.
Out of interest, who drew the illustration for the article? Yes, that was the reporter who exposed me. He sketched that right in front of me as I described the scene. Obviously, as time ticked on, I bitterly regretted what I'd done. Claiming to have seen something I never truly saw, foolish. Very foolish. Well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed to the cross-examination now.
At once, my lord. It's me, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm gonna solve the case. It's me. I'm just a little baby crime boy. Daily Circus was the only paper that didn't treat Drebber like a clown. Little moonlighting, baby. Team-powered giraffe. Ooh. By moonlighting, you mean grave robbing, do you?
Surely you only need to look at the graveyard scene and my appearance to gauge the answer to that. The lantern and spade.
But who on earth would want to buy a dead body?
Any major hospital?
A hospital?
In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science. But there isn't a hospital in the world that has enough specimens to work with. Though obviously they can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by dubious means.
An aspiring scientist, we young research students had no money to work with, as I'm sure you can imagine. So we made surreptitious arrangements with the hospital via some of our medical student acquaintances.
Woo!
We would never take anything of value from the graves. That was all for the furtherance of science, you see. This is what we told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand. You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could expect the gravest of consequences. We students were caught between the hammer and the anvil. We needed funds for research.
Professor Hairbrain said exactly the same.
I'm quite speechless at the apparent levity in which you've revealed this abhorrent behavior.
Well, if you wanted to know why I was there at Lowgate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected it to end the way it did. That I regret to this day.
Yes, the illustration and newspaper article is based on what I witnessed there.
Right. The strange happening at Lowgate Cemetery, which you now deny.
Not entirely. I ran to fetch the police at the time, you know. I was shaking like a leaf. They didn't believe a word of it. In fact, I was very nearly arrested myself.
Hydrate, you got it. But you went to the papers instead?
I started big with the London news, then unsurprisingly, they didn't want to know either. In the end, though, it was reporters from the gossip rags, the gutter press, that came to get my story. And it spread like the plague through the capital as gossip-hungry Londoners lapped up the tale. The story was in every single paper at the time, with the exception of some broadsheets. And yet only 2 or 3 of them actually interviewed me personally. Most of the accounts turned out to be very interpretive ghost stories.
What about the article in the Daily Circus?
That particular journalist found me at my dormitory.
Have a lovely rest of your day in YouTube. Boo, 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 boo.
I don't know how, but he discovered my name. So I recounted to him exactly what had happened that night.
Bum, 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 bum. And from your description, he drew this illustration?
Precisely. That's how I learned the condemned man was the infamous professor. Because the reporter told me so. I had no idea myself, you see. Newspaper reporters are wont to snoop around in matters that don't concern them. So the scene portrayed in the illustration is accurate, then? Well, thinking back now, I realize that I never actually saw the professor at all, though.
Hold it!
What do you mean? What are you heckin' flippin' dang old talking about?
I think I explained already, didn't I? Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of the condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard at night, and as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life.
But you said you actually saw it.
I said what I'd seen in my mind's eye, the other one, the other eye. After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night.
Maybe. I don't know. Or any material evidence that could show he really did see the professor?
If we have anything at all, Mr. Naruhodo.
I know, I need to present it against that irritatingly backtracking statement of his.
The point is, that night was a pivotal moment in my life.
Do we have the evidence? You never saw the professor. Okay.
Excuse me.
Well, what about the camera? What about the camera? I'll press the other two.
Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model
Hold it!
from wax.
Filing your nails to paint them? Hell yeah, I gotta cut my nails today. They're getting long. A young woman being Madame Tuspels, of course. Maybe a Miss Tuspels at 16.
Precisely. I must say I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later.
As I have explained, I went by the name published in the article and, on the ça, I found the man.
Yes, the article in the Daily Circus, I think you said.
I was a poor student with barely a penny to my name at the time, and the young lady put £5 in front of me. So you readily consented to having a waxwork of yourself made and gave permission for it to be put on display. Did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded.
Ah, oui, I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day. This is nay say pa. Nay say pass.
Did you? I can't say I remember.
What was it, madam? This camera. Ah.
Ah, yes, I made a point of taking it with me wherever I made an excursion into any cemetery. You took a camera with you, sir? To what end? To record the details of the body I disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a graveyard again after that night, so I sold it. I see.
But I still have it, monsieur. It is part of the... Is this supposed to be Monsieur? I don't know the difference. Is there a difference? It's part of the special exhibit at my House of Horror. It's the actual camera? I am very meticulous about such details. It is the Tuspel's way.
It would seem then that this is the very camera Dr. Drebber took with him to Logate Cemetery on the night in question.
Yes, interesting. That details a boo-ba-dee-ba-doo-doo, shabber-da-da-der. Alright, let's, we'll just press this and then we'll look at the camera.
Hold it!
This article, you mean? This article, you mean? Published in the Daily Circus?
Yes, somebody informed the dean that it was my name that appeared in the article. Carelessly let slip that night after night, I was digging up graves. Hardly a model student, you might say. The university's reputation was
Excrapably defiled. This game has so many words I've never seen or used before. It's crazy.
and I was expelled as a result.
Mon Dieu, I had no idea.
And having been run out of the university, you found your employment in a somewhat specialist trade.
You combined your knowledge of science and your knowledge of stage magic to create various experimental machines intended to demonstrate never-before-seen technology, and you use those deceptive machines to trick the government and private investors into giving you money. Professor Albert Harebrain was just your latest victim, wasn't he?
Whatever are you talking about? I have no recollection of doing anything of this sort.
What's Trevor up to? How could he suddenly change his tune and recant his claim?
I wonder if perhaps it's because the circumstances have changed now.
What circumstances?
Well, if he admits to having seen the professor emerging alive from his grave 10 years ago, it will expose a secret in Dr. Scythe's past that she would desperately want to hide.
Yes, of course. If Trevor and Dr. Scythe are working together now, then if Trevor were to betray her, there would be no reason for her to continue to cooperate. In that case, there's only one way around it. We'll have to prove he really did it. Prove he really did see the professor's corpse coming back from the dead, as he originally claimed.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, exactly!
What's going on? Mr. Drebber is a broke boy, or he was a broke boy. He's a brokey. Oh, wait. Let's look at the camera. I'm sure we looked at this before, but maybe not. Whoa! This is where the photographic plate goes, I think, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. It's incredible to think that this is the actual camera Mr. Drebber used that night. I certainly never imagined a piece of evidence would be on display in Madame Tuspel's.
She's very keen on everything being as true to life as possible, though, isn't she? Well, okay, but what about the photo? Is there not a photo?
What a wonderful machine.
Really love contraptions like this, don't you?
Oh yes, anything mechanical I found absolutely resistible.
Almost irresistible, surely.
Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart.
That's worrying.
Yes, Father tells me the time by the rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up on having a watch.
Poor Professor Mikatoma. Sasato, why? Oh, there's like blood in it? Are you kidding? What do you mean?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo.
What is it?
On the bellows just there seem to be some very dark red stains.
Yes, you're right. Looks like blood, actually.
Oh my!
I'm sure you're not. It's not what you're thinking. Ha 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 ha. Wow. Well, that's obviously terrible. Ah! How dare. How could you do this to me? Ow!
You must have seen. I mean, like, come on. All right, I'm gonna present the camera. I think.
Objection!
No! Beans and toast, dude. I don't care. I'm saving. Or we learned something, but that wasn't it. That wasn't it. No. No. Well. What about, let's see. I'm so extra snuffly. My nose is feeling better than yesterday, but... Yeah, the camera was out. He's got a shovel. He's, like, got the mask on. Like, that's the mask.
Objection!
Okay, sure. What a funny stat that Drebber was discredited for telling the truth and it ruined his life, and now he's actively discrediting himself. Keep the truth from ruining his life. Oh my god. Sorry, Mr. Drebber, but I don't believe that. Don't believe, no, wait. Don't believe what? Your latest claim. You did see the professor on that night 10 years ago. Oh, dear. We seem to be at odds, but I was there and you were not. I know what I didn't see. The illustration with this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. A figure emerging from a tomb, wearing an iron mask. Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago. It was decided in closed court's ruling that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity. It wasn't to be removed even during his execution and subsequent burial.
Not even the prison wardens were to see the man's face. But obviously, the provision of this mask was not yet public knowledge.
So, Mr. Drebber, as you've just heard... A lowly student of the University of London certainly wouldn't have known about the condemned man's mask. So unless you'd actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in that illustration. He seems so confident, and then he, like, loses everything when he's caught.
Well, Mr. Drebber?
It's a vile scene, isn't it, if you look closely? And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified. Which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen such a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses and realized that I'd been mistaken. You're still saying you didn't see it?
If you're stubbornly sticking to that story, witness, then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceived you.
Of course. Only too happy to oblige. I can't believe he's still not going to concede the point.
What I in fact witnessed was a fellow grave robber at work.
What do you even mean? A fellow grave robber? What are you talking about?
Well, I wasn't the only one busy in the cemetery that night, you know. Other body snatchers were at work. Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he dug, my heart very nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight I actually saw, you see. You're claiming it was just another student on equally insalubrious business as yourself. Many of the medical students would wear metal masks to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Clearly, the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity. Wouldn't you say?
Objection!
What do you even... Come on. But there's more to this story, isn't there? The article goes on to say... In the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath was then stilled once more. What a horrible save, Drebber. You're smarter than this. Why even give it a shot?
We might extend that the sexton discovered the miscreants at work, perhaps, and fired upon one of them.
The grave robber? Or all of the above, yeah. The gravedigger had shot somebody in the cemetery. I would think it would have been rather big news, my lord.
Ah, yes, well.
I can only assume it was an embellishment bolted on later by the reporter. What do you... Excuse me! No way a fellow student was wearing a full knight's helmet. Madam Tuspels! Don't take it out on Mr. Sholmes.
Oh la la, pardon. I was lost in my thoughts.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way?
I thought it a little strange, that is all. How Monsieur Drebler would claim this now.
Don't mind me saying, madam, what are you talking about?
Well, when I met you 10 years ago at your university dormitory, you recounted to me about your adventures in the cemetery, no? Including the gunshot.
Stop. Wow! You might want to watch your tongue, you know.
Objection!
No, don't watch it. Let it hang out. We don't know, Kawaii. He just sort of is this way.
Have a care, Drebler. There's no way to speak to a lady.
Grr.
Please, Madam Tussbells, carry on. My wayward son. J-Mama, hello!
Welcome, welcome.
Of course. According to what Monsieur Drebler told me at the time, he did hear a gunshot from behind him, and the bullet hit the condemned man.
I said nothing of the sort.
No, you were very explicit about the details. About the mask that the figure was wearing. And the blood that splattered on you when he was shot.
Enough. Shut up, woman. You're making all this up.
We have blood evidence. We have evidence with blood on it.
That will do. Mr. Drebber.
Yes.
You refute the account just given by Madam Tussbells.
I have no recollection of ever saying those things.
Come on, do you really expect us to believe you?
Control yourself, counsel. I will not permit basic accusations in my court.
Right.
Under the circumstances, I think it best that you supplement your testimony.
Yeah.
Very well.
You gotta supplement it so that I can tear it apart.
Nor any spattering of blood. Oh! What do you have to say about this?
Objection!
Ah! Ah! Mr. Drebber, do you remember this camera?
But that is the camera from that fateful night.
Yes, we borrowed it from the House of Horrors.
It's the camera you took with you to the cemetery that night, Mr. Drebber.
And is that supposed to be significant?
This kind of camera is rarely seen in our homeland, so my colleague and I were keen to examine it closely. We noticed that the lens extends forward on the end of some bellows. Up, like this.
Hold it!
What's that? There, just on the bellows. It looks like a dark red stain.
That's right. It's a rather conspicuous mark here on the bellows, in fact.
Good Lord, are you suggesting?
Yes, my lord. It would appear to be a spatter of blood. Hell yeah, Moose!
Something that can be confirmed with a simple chemical test. Isn't that right, Dr. Scythe?
It would be difficult to determine if it was human blood and not the blood of some animal. But yes, to test whether or not it's blood at all is simple enough.
I propose that Madame Tussbell's testimony was correct, and that on the night in question 10 years ago, you were spattered with blood from the gunshot wound.
Well,
And that furthermore, you really did witness the condemned professor emerging from his tomb. I love how, like, starched her coat is. It just splays out. You're an e-boy. Hell yeah. I was painting my nails for a minute. I haven't done it in a while, though. There's simply no way you could have forgotten such a traumatic experience. In other words, the only explanation is that you're trying to hide the fact that you saw the professor that night.
objection!
But why? Why would he want to do that? Well, not for his own gain, it would seem.
Or whose, then? Who could benefit?
Mr. Drebber is obviously lying in order to protect somebody. Dr. Scythe. It's Dr. Scythe. It's Dr. Scythe. Yes, my lord. It's clearly it's Dr. Scythe. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
It's Dr. Scythe. It's Dr. Scythe. It's Dr. Scythe. Could it be anyone but Dr. Scythe? It's the boy. It's... He doesn't even have a name! They didn't give this character... Oh, wait, no, he did. He had a really long name. I forgot. Oh, I forgot about him. No, it's Courtney Scythe.
Take that!
The obvious answer, obviously, is Dr. Scythe.
Scythe? Whatever do you mean?
I do. I love her. I'm not. Who am I to hide it? Imagine if the convict who had been sentenced to death was not in fact killed. Imagine if that was to come to light.
What are you insinuating?
And imagine if the convict in question was the country's most hated mass murderer. If it was the professor...
That would be an unprecedented scandal.
This is beyond a joke. Need I point out that the dead cannot come back to life? What you're suggesting would mean that the execution never actually happened. Yes, that's exactly what it would mean.
Objection!
He has a very long name. Once a man is sent to the gallows, he hangs. No one could escape, not in Great Britain.
Objection!
But the fact is, there was a witness to the fact that the man did escape his hanging.
If that were really true, Counsel, the implications of misconduct would never stop at the supervising court. It would take the honor of the entire judiciary from the ground up.
And it's exactly because of those monumental repercussions that Dr. Scythe would consent to any demand made of her by someone who threatened to expose the secret. Even if that meant being complicit in a crime.
You mean?
I mean that Dr. Scythe wasn't collaborating in Mr. Drever's wicked scheme. She was coerced into collaborating in order to protect her decade-old secret. She switched the dead body of Mr. Asman with the waxwork model and fabricated the autopsy report. Ah! Dr. Scythe, I know nothing about you and I'm in love with you. She's so perfect. He only brings out the wine? An uncommon sight, but not that uncommon. The leg. Ooh, baby, you know he's serious. Watching this with the benefit of hindsight, hell yeah. Lord Van Zeeks. Pray forgive my freshly filled hollow towers and a whole raft of other discourtesies now.
Goodness me!
It's just the sort of tall tale Londoners would enjoy, I grant you. An executed killer rising from the dead. A Scotland Yard cover-up, a conspiracy at the highest levels. So let me ask you one thing.
What is it? Tell me.
If the condemned man really did emerge from his tomb that night, only to be shot in the chest. I'm making him French. Who pulled the trigger and disposed of him forever? Well, I have no idea at the moment.
We have too little information to work that out at present, I think.
I couldn't agree more. You just don't pour more. The Old Bailey is no place for wild fantasies. And have you considered this, my learned Nipponese friend?
Considered what?
Do you realize just what a dangerous endeavor it would be to coerce this woman into such criminal activity? It's tantamount to declaring war on the entire British police force and judiciary.
What? Hard to imagine any sum of money being offered for research could warrant it.
To rely on some stage deception is so much at stake would be madness. Well, I suppose. And this was no petty crime either. The victim was murdered. A man who'd already invested money into the venture and would be instrumental in future profits too. Yes, I had no reason to kill Mr. Asman at all. Mr. Asman? Wait! In this murder. I was like, did he just admit to something? Or are you forgetting that his death results in me receiving not a single penny? The court is already aware of the contract between myself and the victim, no?
There is a contract, that's very true.
The motive for this case runs deep, though. I can feel it.
Using threats to force the head of the forensic investigation team to cooperate is extreme, especially for a government grant that he had no guarantee of receiving in the first place.
The research grant was the aim. Taking Dr. Asman's life would have made no sense anyway. Which means Dr. Trevor's motive wasn't money at all. He was just trying to kill Mr. Asman. But why? What was his motive then? Your time is up, my learned friend. I'd say you have one last chance before the jury lose their patience with this charade. Let's see if you can back up your already heady proposal, shall we? He gets out of the way. Stop! How do you explain why this engineer would throw all caution to the wind and threaten his own country?
At this point, I'm not prepared to listen, and to end to more of this outlandish conjecture without proof. So, counsel, present your evidence.
Alright, who exactly was Mr. Asmund to Drebber? There's a connection that no one's seen yet, and I'm going to have to present 2 pieces of evidence to show it too. Why? I mean, he illustrated it. Yes, my lord. The evidence has established a motive and explains why the witness wanted the victim dead. Is right here. Is it the paper? It's gotta be the paper, huh? It's gotta be the paper. It's gotta be the paper. Drebber's contract. The investor, Mr. Odie Asmund. Hereby enters the contract with the provider, Mr. Enoch Drebber. Fund labor and materials for the construction of a super high voltage kinesis machine. That is his signature. Mr. Drebber is to receive 30% of all remunerations for government grants or other income. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive. Oh. Let's see.
Take that!
It's the newspaper article, my lord.
That was written 10 years ago, and every detail has been examined already. What could it but?
That is not true.
That drivel should have never been written. It's typical gutter press nonsense that means nothing.
Yes, on its own, it isn't particularly significant. However, when considered alongside another piece of evidence, I think we're just trying to match up the signatures. It will completely explain your motive for wanting Mr. Asmund dead.
What other evidence? Counsel, you present your supplementary evidence without delay. The evidence which... Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Take that!
Take it! Yeah. It's this contract, my lord. Mr. Drebber, this is the contract you signed with Mr. Asmund.
Yes, that's right. The very document, in fact. That proves I had no reason to kill the man.
No, I'm afraid not.
What?
There's something very significant that this newspaper article and the contract have in common.
Really?
And it's that common link that shows very clearly why you were determined to kill Mr. Odie Asmund.
It seems the defense has uncovered something the rest of us have missed. So, my learned friend, point out what these 2 pieces of evidence have in common.
Where exactly is the link? Wow. What do you mean? It's just right here.
Take that!
Guys, are you all have no eyeballs? Nuclear, hello! Welcome, welcome! Good to see you. What these 2 pieces of evidence have in common is a signature.
A signature?
Bump! The signature on the illustration that accompanies the 10-year-old article and the signature on this contract belong to the same person!
What?
As the court has heard, this illustration was drawn 10 years ago by the newspaper reporter who found Mr. Drebber and interviewed him about this ordeal. If you look closely, the reporter's signature can be seen in the bottom right corner of the drawing. And if you look at the contract here, which was signed between the witness and the victim last year, you can clearly see Mr. Asmund's signature at the bottom.
Let me see now. Good lord, yes.
In short, the journalist who drew the illustration and wrote the article published about Mr. Drebber 10 years ago was the victim of this case, Mr. Odie Asmund. Rah, 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 rah. Oh, he fell. He died. He's dead. Case dismissed.
Objection!
Over. Oh, you don't want it to be dismissed? Okay, that's fine.
But explain to the court why. Why would that constitute a motive for the witness to murder Asmund?
Well, if you think back, you'll remember what Mr. Drebber talked about that article. That Mr. Drebber talked about that article in his testimony.
Grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. But that is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir. Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. Caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper with the bad grace to identify me unambiguously, I might add.
Oh my god.
Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist, and it was all because of that newspaper article.
Well. At the time, you were a student of the University of London who dreamt of becoming a scientist. However, this single newspaper article changed your entire life.
So Mr. Asman used to be a newspaper journalist, did he?
He did, my lord. In fact, it's a widely held belief that Asman managed to position himself at the heart of his criminal network, thanks to the many dubious connections he made during his time as a reporter. So you had to give up on your dream and leave university. You lost everything. Eventually, you found yourself working in the field of science, but only in the shadows. And all because of that article, written by Mr. Asman.
Enough.
Bzzz.
Stop this endless drivel about my life.
What?
Explain yourself, Mr. Trevor. Yes, it's true. I had to leave the university as a result of that article. But it was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
What do you mean?
Almost every student of science in the facility was too poor to actually conduct any research, but they struggled on with their hypotheses anyway. We all did, only to have them taken by vultures. Sooner or later, you knew your ideas would be stolen and patented by some wretch or other, after all. Gracious! Making a name for yourself as a scientist in a climate like that was a miracle only a select few geniuses could ever hope to achieve. Personally, I wasn't one of those geniuses, so it was hardly a wretch. Being forced out of the university because of Lowgate was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Objection!
Mr. Drebber, you genuinely believe that?
Of course I do. Who's better placed to know whether or not I possess a talent for science than me?
I'm sorry to say that your words don't ring true at all.
How dare you?
And I have evidence to prove it.
How are you in a position to say anything about me? I don't know you from Adam. Ever done so much copium? Fine, if you think you have evidence, go ahead, show it.
What evidence?
What could you possibly have to disprove the idea that I was happy to leave my university because I lacked talent?
Yeah. It's probably the trophy.
Take that!
He kept a trophy. You remember this, Mr. Drebber? We found it at your workshop.
Is that a Royal Science Trophy for excellence in science? What exactly is this trophy, Counsel?
It's the greatest honor that can be bestowed upon a young scientist, my lord.
There is no higher accolade. It recognizes emerging talent and promises a bright future. Gracious!
Your prospects for the future were excellent, weren't they, Mr. Drebber? Because even then, you were a genius in your field. But you lost everything. You had no more future. Your talents would go to waste. As all as a result of this one newspaper article. I don't know when you realized who Mr. Asman was, but when it dawned on you that he was the same journalist who 10 years ago ruined your life, it's abundantly clear that you had no intention of forgiving the man.
The truth is...
Come on. Finally, he's gonna fold. Nah. No way. Dr. Scythe? Fine. Clearly this has run its course now.
What?
I admit it. All of it. What?
What are you doing?
It's exactly as the Japanese man said. I was coerced into going along with this man's plot to murder the victim, on the condition that he kept my dirty secret from 10 years ago.
No. Good Lord!
Madame Tussbells is just like, can I go? Do I need to be here?
Dr. Scythe, do you realize what you're saying, woman?
It's all true. That day, When I arrived at the Crystal Tower and saw the birdcage, my heart nearly stopped beating. That's memory from a decade ago that I'd done my best to bury deep inside. Myself. It was the professor again, staring me in the face. And then, before I had a chance to react, I noticed something else. A little note-ski, a little letter. There was a note tucked inside the model's jacket. Dr. Scythe, you will go along with my plan. I'm someone who knows the truth about what really happened that night 10 years ago. All the instructions were there in the note. Every detail was meticulously written out. I had no choice but to do what it said. I made the necessary alterations to the scene and fabricated the autopsy report as instructed. There was really no other choice. It had to be done to protect the judiciary. I can only apologize now.
Come with me to go get Moach. Oh, they're feeling sick. Oh, no.
Why on earth would you buckle now?
Well, there's no point in trying to hide it anymore, is there? I would have done anything to stop it coming out, even collaborate in a murder. But the great lie about that execution 10 years ago has been exposed. Whatever happens, I'm finished.
So then, Mr. Drebber, what do you say to that? Your accomplice has admitted everything.
Surely it goes without saying.
You admit your part in it too, then?
I admit nothing at all. Have you forgotten that the kinesis machine was ripped to shreds by an explosion? Short of me admitting to a crime, there's really no possible way for you to prove I did anything wrong.
No! She's so pretty and cruel, but pretty, so it's okay.
Order, order, order!
Whatever this man says, I admit everything. He threatened to expose my secret, so I went along with his plan. And Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes.
I hope you'll accept my apologies. What happens next is in your hands, of course.
Bonk.
I've heard more than enough now. I hereby present the final findings of this court. This trial is not the proper forum in which to pursue the alleged wrongdoings of Mr. Drebber. The defendant is Professor Albert Harebrain.
Very true. It had slipped my mind. Isn't he your closest friends?
As the court has heard, Dr. Scythe has admitted to the allegations brought by the defense, thereby absolving the defendant of any possible guilt.
You mean...
At the present time, it is the conclusion of this court that the defendant is not involved in any wrongdoing. Does the prosecution have any objection?
That all? That can't be it. Really? No. No. Really?
None, my lord.
Job done. Time to go home. Uh-oh.
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, no way.
You've proven Professor Harebrain's innocence.
Without further ado, then, the adjudication. Unless the prosecution or defense have any other matters to discuss.
I don't know. This doesn't quite feel right. Why did Dr. Scythe suddenly admit to it like that?
Is everything all right, Mr. Naruhodo?
Like you said before, the way this trial is set to end now, the judge will certainly deliver a verdict of not guilty. But is that really what we want? What the defense should be pushing for now is further testimony. Sure.
Objection!
The defense objects to the trial ending at this time, my lord. My favorite case? That's tough. They just get better and better, so I guess this one right now.
I beg your pardon.
We demand one final testimony.
What?
They really do just get better.
You do realize I'm about to adjudicate in favor of your client, I presume. What are you playing at now, my Nipponese friend? Why would you want to obstruct the conclusion of the trial at this point? No defense lawyer in his right mind would do that.
I'm not in my right mind. Mr. Hardo, what the hell? What the hell?
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And a way to bring it all out of the open.
Right!
Yes, in hindsight. Ah, yes, one word of warning before I go. If in the course of this trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Last couple cases are, oh boy, oh my God. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes knew. He must have deduced that this would happen. He's a deductor after all. Yes, I'm here in court to advocate for my client and to secure an acquittal. Obviously. But that's not all. I believe I have a duty to the court to pursue the whole truth of this case until every last detail is laid bare. And that is why the defense calls for further testimony from Dr. Scythe.
Testimony from me about what?
About the nature of your collaboration with Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Ha! In case it escaped your attention, I already admitted to everything I did. The whole truth has already been made. So stop wasting everyone's time.
Ah!
As his lordship made very plain, your client will get the acquittal you wanted for him. There's simply no point in protracting this business further with another tedious cross-examination.
Objection!
Pray forgive my careless handling of that hollow bottle. I slipped. Oops. Oopsie-doo. That's what you call it?
What is your objection now, Lord Van Zeeks?
The prosecution also calls for supplementary testimony from the witness.
Don't be stupid.
Ooh. If there is more to this case than has yet come to light, then I will join my learned friend in pursuing the facts until the bitter end.
You'll what? Lord Van Zeeks, do you want to be my new boyfriend?
This is most irregular, to say the least. However, as the prosecution also calls for it, I will uphold this request. Dr. Scythe, you will testify for the court, explaining the full extent of your involvement in the murder apparently committed by Mr. Drebber.
Very well.
Oh. Wow.
The waxwork plot! It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside his jacket. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage. The body had to be arranged in certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job. I enlisted the help of the entire forensic investigation team to dress the scene appropriately. The truth about the execution 10 years ago is a state secret of the highest level. I had to protect it.
So I was right. The stage and the machine were all specifically designed for the deception.
So it seems, and all meticulously prepared. You did well to see through it. You're a very shrewd boy.
So kind of you to say.
What about this of the autopsy report then?
All I did was record the location of the body as being in the Crystal Tower instead of under the stage.
That's all? That's a terrible corruption!
True crime in all these cases is the throwing of the wine.
Only my team were aware of the deceit, and then only under my explicit instruction. Nobody else at Scotland Yard knew anything about it, I assure you.
We must be thankful for small mercies, I suppose. Well, I believe that testimony has clarified everything. There's no particular need for a cross-examination, I would say.
No, what do you mean? No, I disagree. I can't shake the feeling on something wrong. Just look at that expression on Dr. Scythe's face. It's the defense's right to cross-examine any witness following testimony.
What is it about you Japanese that makes you all so doggedly persistent?
We're just really cool, I don't know.
Very well. If you so desire, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Okay, it was only the whole forensics team. That's not so bad.
Yes, my lord.
Okay. It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside its jacket. From what you described before, it sounds like the note was anonymous. Did you have any idea of who was behind it? There are very few people in the world who know about what really happened 10 years ago to start with. But anyway, I'd never heard of this engineer. So no, I had no idea. Yet despite not knowing who was behind the plan, you went along with it. I had no choice. Protecting the professor's secret was my only concern.
But the horse is bolted now, and the stable door will never shut again. Scotland Yard's reputation will be immeasurably damaged as a result of all this.
Yes, thank you, Lord Van Sleeves. I am well aware of that.
So, as I understand it, what you found in the birdcage was the waxwork model. Where, then, was the victim's body?
The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage.
So you knew about the special construction of the stage used to carry out the trick then?
It was quite obvious what had happened with the victim and the waxwork.
And you switched the two over, didn't you? In other words, you recorded the victim's body as having been discovered in the Crystal Tower, and the waxwork?
I wrapped it and sent it by carriage to the Pacific address at the specified time.
And why were you given such directions?
Presumably so it could be recovered by Drebber and returned to Madame Tussbell's.
I see. And when you put the birdcage back on the experimentation stage?
Yes, although someone obviously made a mistake about which cage should go where. I thought I'd made it perfectly clear to the team, but still.
I suppose you were focused on the victim's body, that being a more important detail.
The body had to be arranged in certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job.
When you say arranged, I presume you mean with this.
Yes, the instructions in the engineer's note said something along the lines of, fabricate some evidence to make it clear that Harebrain alone could have killed Asmund.
So, you mean that was your doing?
I fetched Harebrain's ridiculous screwdriver from the stage and took it with me alone to the abyss under the stage where the birdcage had fallen.
Alone, Doctor?
I didn't feel it would be appropriate to involve anybody else in that particular part of the deception. Oh? There was a void under the stage where I found the birdcage lying in the dirt. I approached it, leaned down, and slowly opened it up.
She forced Andrew to be complicit! Andrew, the screwdriver, no!
I then took the screwdriver in both hands and plunged it into the man's chest. I never changed my expression.
Was he dead already or not? Did you kill him?
Confused.
And then you noted that in your fake autopsy report as a fictitious cause of death.
No, he was dead. Exactly.
So, the actual cause of death was?
The trauma resulting from the 30-foot drop.
My word.
What is it, Mrs. Sato?
Something about Dr. Seiss' last statement. It's playing on my mind, that's all.
Yes, mine too.
Dr. Scythe!
There's really no need to shout. I can hear you perfectly well.
The defense calls for you to add what you just said to your formal testimony.
Oh? Which part? Oh, I want to supplement, the real cause of death.
The real cause of death being the fall from 30 feet, that part.
Fine, if that's what you want. Just stop yelling, please.
The prosecution concurs. Very well. You will supplement your testimony now, witness.
If you wish, my lord.
Ah!
The actual cause of death was the neck trauma Asmund suffered from the 30-foot fall.
Hold it!
Tell me more.
You're quite sure of that? It was a result of the broken neck?
Yes, as a professional, that was more than apparent.
You'd never know just by looking at the photograph of the victim, though, would you?
No, that's very true. Obviously not. Which is precisely why coroners are needed to determine the actual facts.
Yes, assuming they can be trusted.
There's no point in calling her assessment into question without evidence. Let's get back to the testimony.
Very well. Okay. And this is the help of the entire forensic team. Excuse me.
I'm so snuffly, I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, hello. I did it. I'm back. It's Gucci, baby. The entire team in perverting the course of justice?
My team consists of the very best investigators there are. I demand loyalty from all members. We operate on a code of chivalry of sorts.
You aid and abet a murderer, committed perjury, and dare to talk of chivalry? I have a sword. You don't have a sword.
It was a matter of priorities.
What?
Nothing was more important than protecting the secret of the professor. My team did what was necessary without losing sight of the primary goal. I consider their conduct exemplary.
Don't concede the point, Mr. Naruhodo. You mustn't let her win.
I need a lawyer.
I'll take that silence as tacit acceptance. Now can we move on? No.
I'm fussy about it.
Truth about the 10 years ago is a secret. It's a secret, baby.
But at what cost? Faith in Scotland Yard is going to suffer a terrible blow as a result of this.
And your precious secret is out now anyway.
Not all of it.
Yes, as you say, and I take full responsibility.
Blow me down, Dr. Scythe! I'm Southern, I guess.
Certainly there was some other way you could have protected a secret. No, there really wasn't. I've done my utmost, believe me. In many ways, I respect your determination.
Whew, I nearly froze under that cold stare as she said that.
I do believe she was being genuine, though, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, that's her story.
She admitted everything and revealed her full involvement in the crime. I do wonder if there could really be much more to it.
Well, I don't know, but I just have a feeling.
Do you, Mr. Naruhodo? The truth is, I find it strange, too. How those two are reacting to this in completely opposite ways, I mean.
Yes, exactly. For some reason, I feel like they're still trying to hide something.
Hold it!
Try this again. Maybe it's the other option. Yeah, let me hold down the mouse button to make it go by real fast. Maybe he wasn't dead yet. Maybe she killed him. Maybe that's what it is. Oh, excuse me. Have her change it. Dr. Scythe, what you said before about what you did to the victim's body, I believe that may be significant, so could you change your supplementary statement to explain that instead?
Very well. I stood over the victim's corpse where it lay in the toppled cage and plunged the screwdriver into the chest.
Hold it!
The chest? So it was you who stabbed Mr. Asman with this?
Yes, far easier than dissection, I assure you. No precision required.
What a welcome change.
The victim died instantly from a snapped neck. All I did was carry out the instructions I'd been given.
And unflinchingly as ever, no doubt. I imagine you didn't bat an eyelid when you drove the weapon into his body.
There was no need to bat my eyelids.
If you picked that option first, I would have gotten a funny moment. Which option? There we do! Hello! I do. Look at them. Are my eyes closed? Almost. It's a little harder with the glasses. Hold on. When I take my glasses off, it's a little better. Whoop, but now I gotta put them back on. Oopsie-doo. When you point at her, she tells you to stop pointing instead of stop shouting. Oh. What else did you do to twist the facts? Remind the court, why don't you?
If you wish.
Okay, well. Okay, well. What do we got? Oh, shoot! No! I'm hitting buttons. Excuse me. BNZ says, the prosecution concurs. He also points. That's funny. Okay. I don't know. Maybe she killed him and that's like what the problem is. Okay, but where's the screwdriver? I don't really, like... I mean... What are we, like, looking for here? There's a stab wound. Right? Like, maybe they just moved the body, and they didn't move the bird cages. Maybe that's because there's blood on this, so maybe that's what it is. Let's try it.
Objection!
Hey! I've got a nasty feeling. A nasty boy. That this inconsistency points to an extremely uncomfortable truth.
What on earth is the matter, Counsel? What has have you lost your tongue?
Part's difficult in hindsight. Oh, okay. Yeah. I apologize, my lord. Dr. Scythe, in that last statement of yours, there's just one point that seems to defy explanation.
Out with it, my learned friend.
There's an obvious inconsistency between your description and this photograph. Neko, hello. Which shows the victim in the birdcage following the events that led to his death.
Objection!
The court has already examined that photograph in depth. There's nothing new we can learn from it.
Objection!
Rank that volume. Yes, we have already considered that. That's true. But we now know the facts to be different.
What do you mean? I believe we should let the defense explain. Where in this photograph would we see the alleged inconsistency?
I mean, I guess it's the... I guess I'm right.
Take that!
Is it on the blood that's on the thing? Look closely at the blood stain on the victim's chest. It clearly extends in in a downwards direction. Chat is covering it up a little bit. But it do be... Oh, wow, okay.
Why is that significant, Counsel?
If the victim was stabbed moments before the kinesis machine was set in motion, that's entirely unexpected.
Ah! Of course, no, that's not what happened.
Exactly, my lord. Dr. Scythe made it very clear in her testimony just now that the point at which she stole Professor Hairbrain's screwdriver and stabbed the victim was after the grand deception was set in motion, when the birdcage had fallen below the stage out of sight. From the shape of it, it's clear that the birdcage would have fallen on its side after the 30-foot drop. And if the victim had really been stabbed whilst inside the birdcage in that position, the blood from the wound would have spread out equally in all directions. For it to have formed this longitudinal appearance we see in the picture is inconceivable. Gah. Given that the victim's blood seeped vertically downwards from the wound, it must be the case that when you stabbed Mr. Asman, he was standing up. In short, Dr. Scythe, your latest testimony was a total fabrication! I knew it, I was right. Now I've identified that contradiction, there's only one way to explain the facts. We've all been under a great misapprehension here.
What? What sort of misapprehension?
Dr. Scythe, I'm going nuts! We got this. We're in pursuit. You claim you were coerced into helping Mr. Drebber as a result of the note he left in the waxwork. You claim that your changes of the scene of the crime to implicate the defendant. And you claim that you authored a fake autopsy report to cover your tracks. You hired me as my lawyer today, baby. But one of these claims is an out-and-out lie. Because the question of what the bloodstain really tells us has only one possible answer.
If that is the case, what is it, man? Counsel, you've clearly struck on a revelation. Now tell the court what it is. Which part of Dr. Scythe's story is shown to be a lie by the contradiction in her testimony?
The stabbing of the victim. Great. The answer is very simple if you consider the sequence of events. If, when the victim was stabbed, the blood from the wound seeped downwards, as it did, we can be sure that the victim must have either been standing or sitting upright at the time.
But as you rightly pointed out, the birdcage would have fallen on its side when it fell beneath the stage.
Yes, it would, which tells us that the victim must have been in that position of his own accord.
Objection!
That's impossible. The man was dead, remember?
No, that is the misapprehension. Whoopsie-doo. When the birdcage fell from the stage into the void below, it must have hit the ground with considerable force. But then he was like, oh, I'm sleepy. I gotta get up. But Mr. Asman didn't die in the fall. He probably lost consciousness for a while, but when he came around, he got to his feet to climb out of the cage. Just as Dr. Scythe appeared. If the victim was in fact alive at this point in time, it changes everything. Oh my god! Yeah, she did a murder. Mr. Odie Asman's killer wasn't the defendant, Professor Albert Harebrain, nor was it the mastermind behind the stage trickery, Mr. Enoch Drebber. It was you, Dr. Courtney Scythe! Grrr! Ah! She doesn't have... I want her death animation with the snake.
Order! Can this possibly be true? Have you been taking me for a fool? It was you, was it? You killed him?
You hoped that by admitting to being an accomplice in Mr. Drebber's scheme, the trial would end, before you were accused of a far worse crime. Cold-blooded murder. Oh! Oh, do shut up. You're so desperate now, you're making all this up, as if I would do something like that. She looks woozy. Yes, Sasato!
I assure you the defense is not desperate, Doctor. Mr. Naruhodo has established the facts using evidence and logic alone.
Ha! Logic? Don't make me laugh. Sadly, your logic has a gaping hole in it. What do you mean? I'd have thought it was obvious. A motive, boy. You're lacking a motive. What possible reason would I have to kill Mr. Asman?
Asman was involved in any number of criminal activities, from coercion to theft to murder. But there is no known connection to Dr. Scythe there.
Ah.
I'm rather relieved to say it does seem somewhat far-fetched.
True, there's no obvious motive, but there's still something in the back of my mind. I feel sure I've seen something that hints at at why the coroner might have done this. Yes, I might have tampered with the crime scene and concocted a fake report, but murdering someone for no reason is a very different story.
Objection!
Not for no reason. You did it because every part was true, except that everybody on board thought he was going to be dead in there, but he was alive, in fact. No, when you questioned what possible reason you could have had for wanting to kill Mr. Asman, something did come to mind. What?
What was it, Counsel? Enlighten the court at once.
Breathe in deep, baby. Yes, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? Something that seemed strange, but we had no reason to suspect it at the time. There's a particular object that explains why Dr. Scythe would have wanted to kill Mr. Asman. The scalpels. There were like 500 scalpels. Yeah, right? Okay, it's a scalpel, or rather scalpels.
Did you say scalpels?
Ah, look at him! It would appear the word has struck a chord, Doctor. You, come on, out with it. It was yesterday when we visited your laboratory. Look at this big, thick book here.
It appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigations team spending, I think. Oh,
What is it?
it's clear that the team purchases... It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, only one entry seemed rather strange.
Really? In what way?
They're buying 500 scalpels every month!
Coyote, hello, welcome.
500 scalpels a month!
At first, I wondered what on earth you could be using that many scalpels for. But actually, I realize now it's not the scalpels themselves that are significant. It's the money for them disappearing every month from the department's accounts.
Asman's criminal organization relied heavily on extortion for its funding. Tracing the money from the forensics investigation team's account to find out where it was going would be extremely straightforward.
10 years ago, when Mr. Asman was still a journalist and wrote this article about Mr. Drebber, he may have well stumbled upon information as he was researching the story. Information relating to Dr. Scythe's darkest secret that he would use to rack money from her for the next decade.
Darkest secret? Good lord, you mean?
I don't know what happened on the night of that execution 10 years ago, but clearly the opportunity to rid yourself of that menace was too tempting to pass up. So in the end, you weren't coerced at all, were you? You did it entirely of your own free will. You stabbed Mr. Asmund in the heart with all your might. To silence the blackmailer who knew your dark secret forever! She's just like palette swapped Bayonetta, really, if you look at her. You'll never understand, none of you. With that hair up there, that updo, the fabulous updo.
Oh, we've had to keep covered up all these long years.
Who is it? Who could it be now?
I wanna know. Please tell me. Who the professor's secret identity.
I want to know more about Corn Girl, also. I wanted to know what the hell is her deal. But I guess we don't get that. As very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb, the truth of this case can never be properly established unless you speak out.
And if you decide not to, it's very possible that Courtney Scythe will escape punishment for her crimes. Please, sir, own up to what you've done and tell the court the truth about what happened.
10 years ago, you told the truth and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness and your consternation now. However, if this is surely the chance you've been waiting for, to sever the hold that fate's had over you all these years.
Yeah, do it. Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis? I mean, really. It's the addle-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know. They don't recognize the fact that they don't have talent. They can't even get that right. And so they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities. They go on and on about their wonderful hypotheses, their stupid eyes shining like, all right, we don't need to bully the poor guy. They make me sick. I can't abide their foolishness.
Careful, Mr. Trevor.
I was particularly pleased with the kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? So you admit it. You admit that there was nothing more than it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim. Trevor had 10 years of stewing in this bitterness. He is ready to consume.
Yes, I admit it.
Stew's done.
I did it all in the name of revenge.
Revenge for the future that Mr. Asmund's article had deprived you of for 10 years earlier. But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Asmund, did it?
Which was where that very particular waxwork comes in. Yes, I see.
The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago. If your account of those events was all true,
then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge what had happened. Even if it meant discrediting a bright young man and crushing any future career he might have had.
So your plan required you to abduct that particular waxwork model in order to exact your revenge on Scotland Yard as well, or on Dr. Scythe, to be precise. Emery, hello! How are you?
woo! Woo!
It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Asmund turned up at my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer.
An eye appointment? Hell yeah! That's good. There's nothing to worry about an eye appointment, typically. They just be like, hey, look at those eyes. Look at them big old peepers. And then you'll be like, thank you for noticing how large my eyes are.
He happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye about the coroner who'd handled that bogus autopsy, being appointed head of a new forensic team. And I learned that news. My cognitive process is starting to devise the plan. All right.
What a horrid tale. You're just terrible.
He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own wiles against him for revenge. And have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time. I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation. Excuse me, I had to suffer.
Terrible time to yawn. Ah! Blam. Where'd she go? Don't let her get away. Your actions against those who've ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly, no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you?
Did I?
Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypothesis, but you had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded as a failure and a fraud. Yeah! Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man. Oh, he's sad. He big sad.
Aye.
Marcella, hello! 1 large order of serotonin. Hey, you got it. I have several vine moves for you. Yeah. Okay, but who is the professor, though?
Lord Van Zeeks, what of Dr. Scythe? An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted, and she's remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial in the coming days, along with Mr. Dreber.
Serotoninized?
Hell yeah!
A most regrettable situation indeed. She's made great contributions to her profession over the years. It really is a hard truth to swallow. However, that is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Harebrain.
Yes. I guess I've just been here the whole time.
Seems you have a great deal more to your experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sordid details have been brought to light. This has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you are absolved of all guilt.
This whole experiment has taught me a very great but painful lesson. This dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy. I've been selfish and self-centered and above all, a fool.
Professor, allergic to great content creators, stop, come on. That's so nice. Sides of the post-confession courtroom interrupted by several vine boobs. Yeah.
I've spent my life thinking of nothing but my research. Misguidedly believing that I can do whatever I set my mind to, despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it all is I've caused others pain and misery. Others who are far, far greater people than I.
No, Professor, that's not true.
What?
Don't tar yourself with the same brush as Dreber. What happened was his doing and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You are not to blame in any way.
Lord Van Zeeks.
And the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. The man has no idea. To believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dreams. That's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices.
Oh! Thank you, Barock.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, yes, my lord. It is the court's expectations that you find the defendant not guilty of the charge he stands accused. I presume there are no objections. None from me, my lord.
Certainly not.
This trial,
We really didn't spend much time with the jurors this case.
This trial has really made me think, but
this is the right decision. It's all been proven methodically and rigorously. I have no misgivings whatsoever.
What's that? It's done, is it? Do I get decon at home now?
I don't know what's become of the yard these days. I don't recognize the place.
Very well. In that case, I hereby pronounce the defendant
Not guilty, baby.
Woo! We did it! Hot milky? I'm sorry. Hot milky? I'm sorry.
Court is adjourned.
Yay! And now for several hours of post-court dialogue. It's over. That was some trial. Yeah, you can say heckin' that again. Are you absolutely kidding me? Have I never seen? I guess not. I don't know. If you want to post it in the Discord, I'd love to see it. Professor, what a splendid outcome, isn't it?
Oh, it is it? It is. Congratulations, Professor Hairbrain.
Mr. Naruto! Mrs. Sato! I'm truly beside myself with gratitude. How could I ever thank you enough? Pay us.
I'm just glad it's all been cleared up, that you realize you were just caught in a bad situation. Give us money, though.
Ah! Right now, you know, if I had that research grant money. Ah! I'd give the whole lot to you, every penny.
Well, that's very kind, but I'm just a student, so...
We don't need any financial...
Well, what do you mean? We need to get paid. Can we please get paid?
Your acquittal is more than enough.
Oh dear, what can I do? Aha! How about this as a memento? Many memos, many mementos. The paper about my hypothesis is inside.
Well, just as a memento then, thank you.
I've been wondering, Professor, what are you going to do now?
Oh my, yes, what am I gonna do? My hypothesis and my great machine lie in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the Great Exhibition whilst I'm here too, and see if any new inspiration hits me. Any ideas to steal?
I can't allow that. Who's this? Oh, it's him.
Lord Van Zeeks, what are you doing here?
As if we forgot.
Barak!
I'm sorry you had to go through all that, Albert.
Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You were like a great demon behind your bench there, staring down on your prey.
He's so much larger.
You're one of the few true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle the prosecution or the defense.
Ah, he loves us. Sorry, or the defense. Did I just hear that right? Hell yeah, he loves us, chat. Chat, he loves us. He loves us. It's a tweet and not... Would you say he was a demon prosecutor, Albert?
I always knew that you had my best interest at heart, don't worry. How about you show me around while I'm here in town? It's been a long time since we left university. We got a lot to catch up on.
Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, you must head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you.
What?
From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets.
But no! Hold on a minute, Barak. What about the Great Exhibition? This is the chance of a lifetime for me.
No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea.
Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Barak.
Lord Van Zeeks, what the hell? What's all this then? What's all this then?
A necessary precaution.
Yes, I think I understand.
You do?
Well, Iris told me that when you meet Lord Van Zeeks at his office some days ago, he asked how Mr. Natsume was doing.
Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time and thinking it was nice of him to ask.
The point is, Mr. Natsume is still alive and well, even though it's been more than 6 months now since he stood trial with the Reaper as the prosecutor.
Ah, you mean the Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas?
Those in the Reaper's sights meet their end days or sometimes months after their acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now.
But of course, we know that both Mr. Natsume and Gina were completely innocent.
True. And perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions. The truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend.
Barak!
Like the mustache Nipponese, this man... this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once.
But right. Does your friend-shaped package get any say?
Goodness, was this your intention all along then, Lord Van Zeeks?
Oh my god. Characters sharing the screen and reacting to each other adds so much. It's so good. It's like how I like how in the Miles Edgeworth games they have the side-by-side, and they're effectively doing the same thing here when it warrants it, instead of just all the time, right? Because they're not just sprites. In court, when people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless, and yet, sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all.
It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being.
Why does he have to? He's free.
Oh, yes, all right. I love prison. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you so much for everything.
Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you.
Best wishes, Professor Hairbrain.
Well, once the dust is settled, you must come and visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now.
God, I don't...
Now, my Nipponese friend.
Oh, yes. I thought you'd gone too. I would love for... Because it seems like they're remastering, like, all of them in due time. So, wow. I don't know legally, like, how they would handle this. But I would love both the Miles Edgeworth games and the Professor Layton crossover. Because I haven't played that one. Nor have I played the second Edgeworth game. Because it wasn't localized. I think they did a fan thing, but I didn't play that. I could never get the DS emulators working, for legal reasons. That's a joke, but, you know what I mean? I couldn't get them, like, to work correctly, so I never played it, but I would love a combo of the, I don't know if there's any other, loose games in the series. Are there? I never played, the fan team did so well. I'm sad about it, because I feel like the first game was, like, pretty good. I remember liking it. It didn't blow my socks off, but I liked it a lot, you know. It was different.
We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time? You want to talk? With me? I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes. Don't die on the way there.
I need to test something. Woof, 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 woof. You tricked me. Well, that was strange. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as he walked away this time. The enigma, Baroque Van Zeeks. What does he want to discuss, I wonder? The answer awaits in the courtroom, I suppose. It didn't work. Porf. That always scare me. No, dogs are alright. One of my best VTuber friends is a dog. We raided her yesterday. Oh, we get to take the mirrors off. Oh, he's also... Why are we standing so far away?
So, are you satisfied? You saved a guileless scientist from a great injustice.
Yes, I think so. I'm relieved, at least, that the man's innocence could be proven.
Anyway. About that reveal. I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity towards you Nipponese comes from.
Oh, is he... I see. This would all make sense. Let's, look, where's Tuss Spells? Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagined you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here. But now, I think differently. You clearly know our ways. So I would guess that some specific incident led you to your thorough dislike of my race. Your absolute racism. Will you tell me what happened, please?
The professor. I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest.
He took your brother's life.
Clint. My brother was Clint Van Zeeks. 16 years ago, when I was still in my teens, he was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be. He was involved in the establishment of justice systems in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations too, to share knowledge and ideas.
How old? He's like 34 or something.
As part of those programs,
he's in his 30s.
3 judicial students came from Britain to your... 3 judicial students came from...
Oh my god. To Britain from your homeland, the Empire of Japan.
Oh! If it was 16 years ago, then one of them could have been my father.
Of course. I remember Dr. Mikotoba well.
I had no idea.
I was a minor at the time, training at the prosecutor's office.
He has anime hair.
One day, Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Nipponese.
So they all know about it.
So you've actually met my father.
That's why Mikotoba was acting strange.
He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept at their work and exacting in their standards. It was my first encounter with the Nipponese spirit, and it made a very great impression on me. But 6 years later, that's when it happened. The investigation was going nowhere. There were no suspects even, just an ever-growing list of victims. And in the end, my brother became one of them, and the last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved.
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zeeks, truly.
Clint was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway. Though he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me personally, though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one has been able to catch the man sooner ceased to be such a mystery. He'd been hiding in plain sight all the time.
In plain sight?
Are you aware of political events 10 years ago? It was a period of extremely sensitive diplomacy between the British and Japanese empires.
A new treaty was being forged, I think?
Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation was being concluded. The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussions. Which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted as a closed trial.
Is that a weed? Probably not. I didn't see what it was.
If the British public had known the identity of the killer, not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our two nations could very well have ended up at war.
What? A war between Britain and Japan?
But that would mean, oh my, you mean to say the professor was...
Yeah, that was pretty clear. I thought that part was clear. Oh, well, let's watch him have...
reached its conclusion earlier,
Oh, shoot.
I thought to myself, yes, it's time.
He's very serious. Oh, I have to
Time
click
for
still.
you to come face to face with this hideous monster.
All right.
I borrowed the key for the mask from the proprietress of the Waxwork Museum. So see for yourselves now. Confirm it with your own eyes. The truth that's been hidden this past decade.
I have no idea who this person is.
That's the professor?
Yes, that's him.
Until now, the thought never even crossed my mind that the mass murderer, whose crimes shook Britain as never before, was Japanese.
Who's that?
Wait a minute. That face. I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
Ah, beans. Oh. Are you okay? Are you good? Come on. Is this Persona? What do you mean?
Father.
What? Father?
Is it? I sort of don't. I mean. Kazuma?
Kazuma!
It is. Thank you. Hell yeah!
My best friend, Kazuma.
We're just
Asobi.
friends.
After a whole year, finally his memories returned.
At least one of them. Oh, I like voicing him. I'm glad. Also for narrative reasons.
This is the day before me.
He got way more muscular.
Ryunosuke. Hello again,
I'm glad we don't have to wait until the end of the game to get that reveal.
my friend.
We're just friends.
Kazuma-sama!
You literally stuffed me in the closet for like a month, but you know, we're
Judicial
just friends.
Assistant Mikotoba.
All right. He's got pillowy lips, dude. Are you kidding?
It's been a very long road. Thank you. Thank you for guiding my friend here when I could not.
Oh! Mycella! Oh my goodness, thank you. That it's the month of September. Almost. It's still August for me. Well, oh my goodness, thank you.
It was an honor.
Oh God.
I knew you wouldn't die that easily.
What do you mean? I know you wouldn't just get murdered.
I owe you thanks, too, for taking good care of that in my absence.
Oh,
Keep it.
Karuma,
I have another one.
great blade of the Asogi clan, passed down through the generations. When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side. A Japanese man's katana is his soul, and he couldn't be parted from it. But then, when the incident happened, it was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the sword, and I've kept it with me ever since,
You know, we know.
along with my memories of the
Oh,
friendship
there's a
we
little
shared.
bunny on this. She was in this outfit then too. Don't forget. It's canon. It's canon now.
With this by my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow.
Don't do that to me, video game. I really
I've
hate
made
his
it.
little mustache.
At last.
It's really not my
Father.
favorite at all.
Are you saying... Surely not. You mean, you knew all this time? I'm looking at it, but I still can't believe it. This mass murderer is Kazuma's father.
Well, don't. No, that's not him, Kazuma. This isn't gonna fix anything. Alright. That was hard to make. Buckaroo, come on. The stash is not it.
Kazuma-sama.
Listen,
Ryunosuke,
it's symbolic, okay?
we have much to talk about.
Yeah, oh my god.
But now is not the time.
Give me 5 minutes. maybe like
I'll be
10
seeing.
minutes. Oh. Huh? Where'd he go?
That's all Kazuma said. Before he turned and left us there, in the courtroom.
Is this like the end of The Sopranos? What are we doing here? Oh, let's do another mock trial. So, okay, let me turn this down again. So he's the living after image of the man who took my brother's life, is he? Yes, Kazuma I guess it's Asogi. I've been calling him Asagi, but I guess it's Asogi. My best friend. 3 months ago when Lord Strongheart introduced us, I had an inkling there was something there, some connection. Why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Kazuma Lord Van Zeek's apprentice? And when he was suffering amnesia, too? The man was apprehended, even executed. But his legacy just won't die. That's the sad truth. Anyway, that's all I had to say. That was all. No big deal. I thank you for meeting me when I asked. More clear when it's spelled Asogi. Oh, did they change the spelling?
10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. We were there to meet my father from the train. For me, it was the first time I'd ever seen him.
Poor Susato-san, all this is tied up with painful memories for her, too. She's never talked about this with me before, though. My best friend, yep, sure. It took time
To adjust to having father around, but just when I was starting to get used to it, he called me into his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his had passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind a son. A boy, 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, so he was studying to become a defense lawyer.
Romanization can be either or. Oh, I got you. Okay.
I wanted to help, so I started to become a qualified judicial assistant. As I'm sure you've worked out, that young man's name was Kazuma Asogi.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
So you see, Starman, that's how he and I met.
For a brief moment,
Ah!
my great friend had returned, only to disappear again all too soon. But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred. Something that had been dormant for a long time. As if great wheels had been set in motion. I could almost hear them creaking into life. In some ways, it was the end of a chapter. But in many, it was the start of a new one.
No, this is just the end of this chapter. Don't worry. Oh, baby! It says end right behind me. We did it! Wow, what a... This game, I got an achievement. This game keeps doing it, X gonna give it to you style. In like... I was just fully... Once we learned about that, I was fully waiting to sit on that reveal, until, like, the end of episode 5. This last bow. Hell yeah, babies! Let's, we're done. That was a great time. Let me put the music back on for right now, baby. Is that too loud? No, it looks good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Oh my god, what a case. What a crime. What a day, what a dollar. I love you all to pieces. We're gonna play more of this next week. We're gonna start the 4th case of the second game. After I quit this game, so there's not 2 musics going. Let's do it, yeah! Well, hell yeah, babies! I hope you all have... I'm finished playing the game. I hope you all have a lovely, weekend. I, as always, am going to leave you with a few links. First of all, we have... Well, I find somebody to raid. First of all, we have my card. That is the one-stop shop to all things Comfy Catboy. If you want to find me on any of my socials or commission me to do video editing work or pick up any of my... I only have one right now, but I'm planning on having a whole soiree of video editing tutorial like videos on Ko-fi. I would love to... I'd love it if you check it out. Additionally, we have the Discord. It's a beautiful place full of lovely people. I would love to see you there. And last but certainly not least is a link to all of my YouTube channels. The editing channel is what I am focusing on the most right now. You know who we're gonna raid? I haven't,
Come on, let's
oh god.
do it. Pick up
This
that
is
ammo.
Nira Astra. I feel like I haven't raided them in a very long time. So we're gonna raid Nira Astra. They are playing, did I mute it? No. They're playing the new Alan, or the remastered Alan Wake. Alan Wake is a very fun game. If you are a subscriber, this is our raid message. You can copy and paste that. And if you're not a subscriber and you had a good time today, I'd love it if you'd give it a think. No pressure one way or the other, but it does help me out. But checking out all the other stuff helps out even more. And that's typically free for some of it. I love you all to pieces. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Cozy and I are going to an anime con this weekend. Very excited about that. And I imagine we'll be back Wednesday, Thursday. We'll pick up the next case. Oh my god, I'm very excited. I love you all. Have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Boo, 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 boo.